Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 25th of April, now it's almost 11 o'clock in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my channel in which I share latest updates on the news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There are quite a few very significant developments and news that I like to share with you for this moment. But before I start, let me emphasize how grateful I am for your time, attention and support. It truly does mean a lot to me, so thank you very much. That being said, let's talk about news now, and this video gonna be first update for today. Second update I will upload on later on, late afternoon on Patreon. Yesterday I did my first news update for Patreon, and it seems like our Patreon community did rated my video quite well. So I will continue, and I will try to make updates on YouTube and for Patreon more and more interesting. So if you can, please consider to subscribe to my Patreon page. I will be very grateful for that help. That being said, let's talk about news now, and I will start with the report from TASS news agency. We have statements from Denis Pushilin, head of DPR, Donetsk People's Republic, and according to him, Russian side did manage to successfully conduct some offensive operations in Bakhmut, in Artyomovsk. As you know, this town has two names. Russians call it Artyomovsk, Ukrainians Bakhmut. I use Bakhmut because majority of our communities from outside of Russia, from other countries, and they are more familiar with the name of Bakhmut. That's why I use Bakhmut. That's the only reason, really, to not make confusion. So yes, according to Denis Pushilin, Russian side did manage to establish additional positions in western and northern parts of this small pocket that is still under control of Zelensky's regime. Let me show you on the map. So this is Bakhmut, by the way, and this pro-Ukrainian map is not acknowledging Russian success yet. But if we take a look on this map here, these white dots are approximate line of contact between the sides, and as you can see, Russian forces did manage to push forward from southern part, from eastern part, and from northern part also. And basically, as I predicted quite a few days ago, forces that are inside the town now did manage to reach other PMC Wagner units that are conducting operations in direction of Kharkov, which is here. Next stage probably will be establishment of control over this military base here, and after that, basically, what will be left under control of Zelensky's regime is this block here with high-rise buildings, and this area with private housing. We can call it Dachi area, and that's it, really. And that's it. We can say that 95% of Bakhmut is under direct or operational control of Russian forces at this stage. Let's continue with some other news, and this is RIA Novosti's report, according to which, and I did share this information yesterday in my second update for Patreon. According to Russian Defense Ministry, Russian side did conduct a strike on Konstantinovka, on one of the military bases that was used by so-called Georgian Legion. That's a unit of mercenaries that are fighting alongside of Zelensky's regime. And according to Russian Defense Ministry, during this strike was used Iskander missiles, and About 60 members of Georgian Legion were killed, 20 were heavily wounded, some 15 units of military equipment were also destroyed during this strike. I did try to find some confirmation of this information in Georgian media outlets. I also checked some Georgian forums. To be honest, I did not find much information about it, but we have additional information that in same place in Konstantinovka there was some fight between Georgian Legion and some Ukrainian forces, and as a result of that clashes, 10 people were casualties were amounted up to 10 people. 3 of them were killed, 7 wounded. And this gunfight between Georgian Legion and Ukrainian forces in Konstantinovka did happen because, according to military expert from LPR, Andrei Marochko, according to him, head commanders of Ukrainian forces in that direction did order to one of the Ukrainian units to leave some base and give it to Georgian Legion, to one of the units of Georgian Legion. Ukrainians didn't like this, and when Georgian unit or unit of from so-called Georgian Legion, they not necessarily have to be Georgians or citizens of Georgia. That's just the name of this grouping, Georgian Legion. It's a part of foreign legion. And when this unit from Georgian Legion arrived on that base, there were some angry discussion between the sides, and eventually they start firing at each other. And as a result, 7 people were wounded, and 3 died as a result of that clashes. And when I was reading this information, I was thinking this may be partial confirmation of information that Russian Defense Ministry provided, because if Russian side did strike previous base of Georgian Legion in Konstantinovka, it's obvious that surviving members of that unit will need some other place to establish new base, and maybe that's why they were sent to that base where previously some Ukrainian forces were located. So that's quite a strange story, really. I was surprised that I did not find some additional information on Georgian media outlets. I will check again today, because we all know that if not all, many members of Georgian Legion are citizens of Georgia, and Georgian media should pay some attention to it. I don't know. And by the way, let me show you Konstantinovka. This is the southwest side of Chisov Yar, not really far away from Bakhmut. So this is Bakhmut, this is Chisov Yar, and this is Konstantinovka here. And as I understand, once Bakhmut will become under full Russian control, this grouping of Russian forces that are now active in Bakhmut direction probably will try to, in fairly short time, establish control over or at least operational control over the Chisov Yar and maybe even Konstantinovka. Because everyone do understands that once Bakhmut garrison will be neutralized, morale of Ukrainian forces in this area, at least in this area, will be crushed. So when it comes to overall situation on the front line, as you can see, Kherson region and the Zaporozhye region is mainly artillery duels. Russian side did use actively frontline aviation, and this is a trend for last, let's say, 3-4 weeks. I did share information about this in previous videos, that Russian side is more and more actively using field aviation, frontline aviation, And in this case here, we have information, for example, that even this pro-Ukrainian map is acknowledging that Russian aviation was very active in direction of Ugledar and in direction of Orekhov. That's Orekhov's here. We had some reports that Russian side did manage to achieve some local scale success in direction of Ugledar. So in coming days we will probably learn some more about situation in direction of Ugledar, because everyone was probably expecting that it's Ukrainian side that will be active in these areas in preparation to large-scale counteroffensive that was announced for a long time ago. But in reality, it's Russian side is active. And in Kherson region, many of you did ask me yesterday what is happening in Kherson. Did Ukrainian forces establish some bridgehead on the left bank of Dnieper River next to a bridge? And to be honest, I did try to find additional information in Russian media outlets. I did not, but on some other pro-Ukrainian sources, I did saw footage, video footage, that some Ukrainian forces were crossing Dnieper on small boats and establishing some tiny bridgehead on the left bank. It's as you can see, this area here is swamp basically next to a river, and to be honest, I don't think how they're gonna manage to hold on to this territory. I don't know. This is Aleshki, by the way, and according to Ukrainian sources, and this is bridge, Antonovsky Bridge, and according to Ukrainian sources, Ukrainian forces did establish some bridgehead somewhere here, right next to this bridge and highway. I don't know. I will try to learn some more, to find some more additional information about this topic during the day, and I will of course share information on the next update and on my Telegram channel also. But generally, the situation is under full Russian control, and I did see some video and photo materials that was on Russian language Telegram channels when military personnel were in Aleshki, in this town, in this small town, small village. So village itself is under Russian control for sure. So some small Ukrainian groups may be trying to hide somewhere in this swamp area. But you know, we are not talking about some true bridgehead. No, it's some small recon or sabotage group that did cross this river, and at this point it's not big of a deal. Russian side will deal with it, but this incident once again highlights that in attempt to conduct some large-scale operation, Zelensky's regime will definitely become more active. Forces that are loyal to Zelensky's regime will become more active in Kherson direction, and they will try to cross the Dnieper River in many places, especially in direction of Novaya Kakhovka. And if Zelensky's regime will be able to conduct this anticipated by many counteroffensive, of course Zelensky's regime will also try to cross this waterway and enter Energodar city and establish control over the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. I did spoke about this many times in previous videos, and I don't think it's necessary to repeat myself. Let's continue with some other news. And yes, by the way, I was talking about front lines. So as I said, Kherson region and Zaporozhye region, it's basically artillery duels. Russia was actively using air force in Zaporozhye direction. Donetsk direction is usually active, but in previous 24 hours there were no as much clashes, direct clashes between the sides as usual. So main activity were happening in Bakhmut, really. And yes, in the northern part, in the direction of Seversk, is also artillery duels between the sides. And right now, for this moment, as you can see, eastern and central parts of Ukraine are under air raid alert. These blue dots are indicators that air raid alert was announced in these regions. So no breakthroughs from any one side in previous 24 hours. At least that's information that we have for this moment. Let's continue now, and this is TASS News Agency's report, according to which, and this report is based on article in Washington Post, according to which some high-ranking Ukrainian officials in private conversation are acknowledging that some operations that Ukrainian armed forces are conducting are fully controlled by U.S. military personnel, by U.S. And of course, this is not going to be surprising for us, but this information once again highlights level of involvement of U.S. in this conflict. And after this conflict will end, probably we will learn even more about U.S. Involvement in Ukraine, and probably we will also learn how many U.S. Servicemen were wounded or killed because of the illegal orders that Biden's administration were giving to U.S. military personnel to conduct operations in Ukrainian soil. Just take a look at the map, man. Where is USA and where is Ukraine? I mean, it's none of the US business, for God's sake, what is happening in Ukraine. But, let's continue. And basically, because of US, this conflict even have started. It's US and UK did provoke this conflict in the first place. So, let's continue. And this is RBK News Agency's report. And this report based on article in Politicon, according to which some high-level officials in US now are afraid that if Zelensky's regime will fail with its counteroffensive, then some truly difficult consequences may arrive for Kiev, for Zelensky's regime and its main allies, Biden administration and UK's leadership, and mainly because, according to this article, if Ukraine will fail to achieve serious success during the counteroffensive, then many European states will start reconsidering the involvement in this conflict, and they will probably start distancing themselves from Ukraine. Quite logical assumption, really. I'm quite sure this will definitely happen at some point. But once again, these kind of articles, in my understanding, have been used by US elites to create ground, to prepare society in the Western world for inevitable failure of Zelensky's regime. That's it, really. They want to prepare society for inevitable failure of Zelensky's regime so that there will be not that much criticism towards Western elites. There will be some criticism anyway, but they want to minimize it so that they are giving to society, to public, these kind of notices, these kind of informations, little by little, step by step, so that they are minimizing steam, let's say. They are releasing steam public. That's a technology. That's just technology that they are using. And when eventually Zelensky's regime will fail, there will be not enough steam left in public, in major part of the public, so that there will be no, at least that's what Western elites are hoping for, as I understand. So there will be no high pressure on Western elites. But, you know, who knows? In Europe, maybe. European society, European public is more influenced by Western propaganda, and as I understand, they don't demand any answers, mainly. But when it comes to US, that's a whole different story, because US public is US public is different, and they may demand some answers for sure. But Europe, I don't think so. In some countries of Europe, maybe, but in general, as of now, we did not see awakening of European public. There are small groups, yes, and they are trying the best to inform society, so that and that way influence elites in their countries to change policies, because after all, these anti-Russian policies that are conducted by Western elites are harming European citizens also. But majority of society in Europe is quite passive, really. It's sad, but that's the reality. And by the way, you will find this information interesting, I think. According to RIA Novosti, the Russian side did start using T-14 Armata main battle tanks in the zone of special military operation. I didn't see any video or photo confirmation of this for now, but I will definitely try to find some photo and video confirmation, and I will share it in next updates and on my Telegram channel. But this is interesting. This is interesting because probably Russian side did manufacture enough T-14 main battle tanks for this moment, so that they can be sent to a front line as a proper, fully equipped tank units, tank battalions. So, according to this information, T-14 Armata tanks did not participate yet in storming operations, but they were used to target some positions of Ukrainian forces that are still loyal to Zelensky's regime. So they are participating in special military operation already. I believe this is kind of field trials for these tanks, because this is for this moment, this is only 4th generation main battle tank that exists in this world. So Russian side will probably conduct some trials and try to improve weak points on the tank. That will be revealed, because every equipment has some weak points. No matter how good they are, every single military system has some weak points. So yes, that's quite interesting. I think today or tomorrow we will probably see some photo and video confirmation of this development. Next news is from RIA Novosti, and as you know, in UN there are some let me translate this so that I will say it in. So, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov spoke at a meeting of the UN Security Council with an assessment of the situation in the world and the prospect for the Ukrainian crisis. And during his speech, Lavrov did spoke, of course, about Ukraine. He did explain what Russian goals are when it comes to Ukraine. But it's also interesting that Lavrov said that mir is a Russian word for world. So according to Lavrov, world once again is very close to a dangerous line. I'm gonna translate this one also now. So the world at the dangerous line, yes. Once again, this is not exact translation, but what Lavrov was meant, I believe that because of the hostilities from the Western elites, world is in situation when global scale confrontation may erupt just any moment, and that's why the escalation is necessary. And if you remember a few days ago, for example, Russian foreign ministry did said that Russian side is ready to conduct some peaceful negotiations, and Chinese peace proposal can be used for this. But once again, as long as US and UK are against any peace talks, nothing will happen. There will be no movement in direction of peace negotiations, unfortunately, but that's reality. And as I understand, Biden administration will block any possibilities for peace deal as long as at least before Russian side will achieve some decisive success on the battlefield. Before that, White House will be against peace. And once Russian side will reach, let's say, Dnieper River all the way, and maybe Odessa region also, then Washington will start talk about peace, but not before. That's my take on it. So this is also interesting news. Let me check time. It's 27 minutes. Okay. Then I'm gonna skip this information. Yes, this one is, but I will say I will highlight that head of Russian foreign intelligence, Narishkin, said that Poland is in a difficult, Polish elites are in difficult situation, because in one hand they are they have some plans or they have appetite to establish control over the western parts of Ukraine, but same time they are afraid that Germany may escalate with Poland and maybe even try to increase its influence over the western regions of Poland itself, regions that was part of Germany before Second World War, and after Second World War, thanks to Soviet Union, was given to Poland. So, to be honest, I don't think that Germany is in position now, at least with the current government, that they can escalate with Poland or with anybody really. But according to Russian intelligence services, Polish elites take this matter seriously. So they must have some additional information, maybe not current government of Germany, but maybe next possible government will take some strong stance when it comes to western regions of Poland, or about towards Poland as a whole. And after all, we should always take in account that elements of this deep state exists in every country, and Germany is no exception. So maybe current government of Germany is completely controlled by Washington, and they will definitely do nothing that won't be approved by Washington. But who knows, maybe in 10 years time, Germany's deep state will manage to establish some new forces in power, and then everything may change. Who knows? Let's continue now, and once again, this is TASS News Agency's report that Russian side giving one more warning to the Western elites, and according to Russian Foreign Ministry, let me translate this title of this official because it's something special. So, Director of Department of Non-Proliferation and Arms Control of the Russian Foreign Ministry, Vladimir Yermakov, noted that the destabilizing military programs of the United States and its allies make the moratorium more fragile. Moratorium from Russian side on deliveries of medium and long-range missiles to the western borders of Russia, and also in Asia Pacific region. So I did report about this topic a few days ago. We also had a statement from Russian Foreign Ministry, and now we have yet again another statement, and I believe this is direct warning to European leadership that if Russia will find the actions dangerous to itself, then Russia may deploy some medium and long-range missiles in western parts on the western borders, basically. And if we are talking about these kind of weapons, when it comes to medium range is 4,000 or 5,000 kilometers. So these kind of missiles can basically hit any target anywhere in Europe. Long range missiles, they can hit any target just anywhere in this world. So yeah, once again, this is warning from Moscow, and Western elite should listen, for God's sake, because if anything happens, then it will be too late, really. Then it will be too late. Like Moscow did many warnings about Ukraine, for example, for years, isn't it? For years. And now these Western elites are coming out and talking some crap that Russia is aggressor and the rest of it. Why you did not listen to Russia? Russia did warn you that do not try to implement your military infrastructure in Ukraine. Don't even think about it, because we are not going to take it lightly. And after years of warnings, eventually Russia did act and defend not just Russian speaking, not just to defend Russian speakers in Ukraine. That's also, of course, one of the main goals, but also to protect entire Russia. Because once again, from Kharkov region, for example, from most eastern Ukrainian regions, for missiles, it will take like 7 minutes to strike Moscow. And this is too short amount of time for air defense systems to be 100% ready to deal with dangers. So Western elites should listen, but they don't, man. They think they are emperors of this world when they are not. They are not, and to be honest, longer this conflict will continue, longer Western elites will continue this crazy, hysterical anti-Russian policies, more and more isolated Western states and Western elites will become from this world, because, as I said many times before, the world is much bigger place than Europe or North America. World is much bigger place. So let's continue, and this is quite interesting. Also, if you remember yesterday, I was talking about UN, and I said that maybe it's time for world to reconsider where headquarters of the UN should be, because US definitely not allowing UN to work properly. They are not issuing visas to delegations, official delegations of many countries, any countries really, that US elites don't like. And just recently, US did not even issue visas for Russian journalists to go and work in UN and inform Russian society about what is happening during these meetings there. And Russian side, yesterday afternoon, I did learn that Russian side did spoke about this possibility, and they said that maybe headquarters of UN should be moved from New York to some other place, and the Russian side mentioned Vienna, capital of Austria, or Geneva, biggest city. As I understand, Geneva is the biggest city in Switzerland, isn't it? So, and we have a reaction of Switzerland, and they said that this topic is very serious and should be discussed by all parties and blah blah blah, some diplomatic stuff. But they were very quick, man, to react on this topic. Oh, they will love it, man. They will love it to see headquarters of UN in Switzerland, because first of all, because they are losing already lost reputation as a neutral state, and to rebuild reputation. I mean, if headquarters of UN will be moved to one of the Swiss cities, let's say, or it will be play, of course, crucial role in that sense. I don't think it will ever happen, and I think Switzerland will be unable to rebuild its reputation no more, man. Switzerland, like Austria, for example, they are part of anti-Russian coalition, and they never can be considered neutral states. Just never. Times that they were considered as a neutral done for this world. And to be honest, me personally, I don't think UN headquarters should be somewhere in Europe. No way, man. You cannot trust Western elites, man. What difference it makes if it's in New York or in, let's say, Switzerland or in Austria or in, I don't know, France or Germany. Elites of those countries are as extreme and as Russophobic as US current elites, isn't it? So if this topic will be truly discussed on the top level between the leading countries in this world, between Russia, China, India, Brazil, South Africa, countries in Middle East, then I believe, that's my take on it anyway, that headquarters of UN should be based somewhere, just anywhere, but not in the Western countries. That's it, really. That's my approach. In India, for example, why not? In India, in Brazil, in South Africa, in Saudi Arabia or United Arab Emirates, for example, in Iran, why not? Tehran is one of the oldest cities in this world. It's quite a good place, and it will help also not just Iran, but entire Middle East to improve relationships and to guarantee peace and prosperity for the region. So yes, I was surprised, to be honest, when see that Russian side was so mad because of the actions of U.S. State Department. They did not issue visas for Russian journalists, and the Russian side was so mad that they start talking about moving U.S. headquarters from New York, and that's a good idea, but not in Europe, man. No way. Anywhere, but not in the Western countries, because elites in those countries are cannot be trusted. Let's put it this way. Let's continue, and this is TASS News Agency's report, according to which Russian side more increasingly are now talking about prospect that Moscow will not participate in prolongation of the grain deal. And now we have statement from Russian Defense Ministry, according to which Zelensky's regime is using this grain deal to conduct some drone strikes on Crimea. And this is not the first time that we are hearing this criticism from Russian officials, Russian state institutions, and after so many talks, some steps must be made. And if Moscow is not happy with this deal, with this grain deal, then I mean, why talk so much? Just stop it, and that's it. And send grain for free to countries that are in need. And you don't have to ask anybody, for God's sake, for any permission. Just take a ship, load it with grain, and send to all the countries that need support. That's it, man. That's it. Russian elite should realize that Western elites, they are garbage, man. They mean nothing in this world. Western elites are garbage. And Russian elite should realize this, for God's sake. Because sometimes I still think that they are kind of, not all of them in Russian elites, but still some of them are kind of waiting for some kind of approval from Western elites. Why, for God's sake? Who are they? Who are those Western elites, man? They are uneducated, garbage people that have no principles, they have no values, man. They cannot be taken as decent human beings because they are not. And I'm truly surprised that Western societies are coping with this crap individuals in their governments, man. It's just unbelievable, for God's sake. But, and this news is gonna be last for today's update. And that was quite something, isn't it? Yesterday afternoon, we learned here that Tucker Carlson did left Fox News. He had the most popular show on cable network in entire US, maybe in entire world. And he did left Fox News. This is quite, I don't know, man. Fox News may tank after this. Because if Carlson is gone, then Sean Hannity may also follow him. And Ingram, that's they are one more host that do have some popularity, as I understand. If they left, then I mean, Fox News will just lose significant support from U.S. citizens, I believe. That's my take. But Tucker Carlson himself, I mean, he's gonna be okay, man. He has his following. He's worldwide famous journalist and person, and I was thinking, he may even try to become politician in US. That's a possibility, isn't it? Of course, he may start his own show on internet, and he will be very successful, no doubt about it. But he may even start some political activity, and he and Trump will just destroy neoliberals, man. He and Trump together may just destroy neoliberals. And if Tucker Carlson will go to politics, then conservative Republican Party will have a almost 100% guarantee that they will return to White House. Because if neoliberals will somehow manage to take out Trump from presidential race, I don't think they will be able to take out Carlson also. And and maybe both will manage to go through this campaign, and Trump as a president, Carlson as a vice president, he will gain some experience that are necessary so that then he may try to become president. I mean, there are some possibilities there. I see that there are some possibilities. So who knows, man? Who knows? But this is, I mean, big deal, man. I was very surprised because, I mean, Fox News basically committed suicide by this decision. I mean, what they are doing, man. But Carlson himself is gonna be okay, man. If he decides to go to politics, he definitely has future in politics. And if he decides to make his own show, he will be definitely very successful, no doubts. So good luck to him anyway, So this is it for now. I hope you will find this video interesting. Oh, video is too long. Wow. Okay, I hope you will find this video interesting, and if so, please hit that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like, and if you can, please share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, or any other platform that you are active on. And if you think this channel is interesting, useful, deserves to exist, then please consider to support through PayPal, buy me a coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. Of course, I will be very grateful for your support and help. That's it for now. Have a nice day and take care.